we're going to be talking with story artist from Riot, Jon Lam, about AI. He has been one of the spearheads on the artist side of things, fighting for artist equality, and let's get right into it. Once in a while, I try to play devil's advocate because we want to get to the truth. We don't want to try to shape something to fit our lens or anything like that. Technology has always been taking over jobs, right? From the sickle way back in ancient times, all of a sudden people can farm, and then all of a sudden tractors, and then all the sickle makers, I guess, they go out of business or whatever,
Right.
and things like that. And then progressively, more and more, with machines on assembly lines instead of people. And now, there's all sorts of things that are coming because of AI, like driving, writing, music, all sorts. Doesn't that make the world more efficient? Doesn't that make the world have more freedom to and empowered to be able to do things that they couldn't do before?
I think like a lot of artists like myself, we're always embracing technology. I haven't drawn on paper in years. I haven't done any commissions in a long time, and I'm always looking for the next software, Blender, the next Blender update or the next update to come out to make my life easier. Um, and I also look forward to the self-driving car because I can't drive right now, but I'm still learning. But I think there comes a line between progress that is done ethically and progress that is done unethically, right? And a lot of people have said like, oh, well, supermarkets, they have electronic cashiers and everything. But I would say, yeah, okay, but you didn't take like 1,000 of cashiers and blend them up into a blender and then use their skills to make this one like automated machine.
And John,
Which
so before you elaborate, before you go on with that, let's elaborate so that the people that don't know what's going on about AI or anything can understand a little bit more. How is it unethical?
okay, so just to bring it down to basics, basically what's happening is all these machine learning programs, which is the more specific, more accurate term, is that they are scraping data from the internet, like everyone's data. It doesn't matter if it's art, medical photos, even ISIS executions, child photos, like just all kinds of crazy stuff on the internet. It's all being collected. And originally it was funded for research purposes. I think they were trying to advance machine learning and AI. But then what started happening was that ever since the land database was made an open source, other companies started using it and monetizing it, like making money off of our data that we never consented to, we never even knew about. And this was all done originally for research only. So it was already, I don't know if you'd say it's illegal, but it's kind of bordering that line of is it illegal, is it not? Because as we all know, tech moves faster than law. And law was not consulted before these guys started monetizing like crazy.
Some people, they would say, you learn from other art, you look at other art, and then you imitate, you progress and whatever, and now you're able to do that style. Well, that's exactly what the AI does. We're showing it a whole bunch of people's art, and it learns.
Yeah, I would have to disagree because like well, we've talked to some neurologists, and neurologists don't fully understand the human brain. So when AI tech people claim to understand the human brain and that the AI brain and the human brain are the exact same, you can't confirm that because we don't fully understand how human brains generate creativity and imagination. And the other argument I would say is that I study artists all the time. I studied you, like Carl Ortiz, everybody. And I can't just walk away and completely replicate one for one what I've studied, right? In a matter of seconds. Even though if I tried my best to, study your stuff and I walked away, it would be inspired, sure, but it would have a lot of my own experiences and my own skills and my own taste put into it, where some people maybe like, I'd say, oh, that looks like it was inspired by Bobby Chiu, but like the rest of it is me, right? Whereas a machine takes exactly what you did one for one in its memory, as well as other people's work one for one, combines it, and then spits out a generative that is all those things, right? Sometimes even including signatures. So it's a very different method of intaking and outputting information.
I'm going to go on to your side for a second here. A dog is not allowed in certain restaurants.
Okay.
A machine is not a human either. A dog is not a human. A machine is not a human. They shouldn't have the same rights. As
Right.
weird as that sounds, a machine can watch a movie, and now it's recorded the whole entire movie.
Right.
Are you allowed to bring in a video camera into the movie theater? What? It's just watching, right? And so it hasn't stolen that file or that film reel.
Right. I mean, I could also say that, like, if I were to go into a movie theater with a camera and I recorded the movie, and then I went into another movie theater and I recorded that movie and I stitched them together, and then I sold those bootlegs, I would be stopped pretty quickly.
Yes, but then of course, devil's advocate would say AI doesn't show you the exact. It might have minute pixels, perhaps the same, but overall, it changes the color, it changes a lot of things until you can't say it's a one for one or an exact like Frankenstein of a bunch of pieces.
Right. There's both instances, right? There's some where things look different, and there's some instances of overfitting, which we can go into later. But at the end of the day, it always goes back to the data, right? Was the data given with consent? Was it given with permission? And was any artist consulted with an agreement or contracts, right? Like, people often talk about DJ sampling other musicians, and like, what about them? And if you're a smaller DJ playing in a small club that no one's ever heard of, you won't get caught. But if you're playing on a large stadium and you're sampling Drake or Lady Gaga and you're not paying them anything or consulting them, you are going to get in trouble.
This whole entire situation almost reminds me of Napster when it came out and how
Mm.
it disrupted the movie or the music industry. At the time, there was no precedence for that kind of a situation. So I believe, laws were not there or they were very fuzzy at best.
Yeah, I mean, people who make laws, they're not fortune tellers, right? They don't know what kind of technology is going to be unleashed. And I remember back in the day when Napster was released, I saw a lot of the same arguments that I see now, right? It's like, oh, musicians aren't going to be hurt. They're already rich. Who cares? Like, they're not going to be hurt, or and the thing is, they were hurt. A lot of musicians are still feeling the rippling effects today. Like, if you look at models like Spotify, a lot of musicians are getting, like, as we talked about this before, 0.04% royalties on a million streams, right? And that's about $4,000, $4,300. If you're lucky enough to get a million streams on a song, and it's not what musicians were making back in the day. Like in this day and age, if you make it as a musician and you're rich or you're popular, that is a mini miracle. So right now, sorry, you're gonna say something?
No, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, right now, like, now that we've seen what's happened to musicians and the music industry since Napster and Spotify, we kind of have a point of reference for what not to do, right? And I think us artists, we have a very specific skill set. We put a lot of time into this, and we help people make fantastic movies and games, and generate a lot of money. And the expertise comes with value and time. And something like this that can go unchecked or it's not regulated will completely diminish our industry, and also go forth into other industries outside of the entertainment sector.
Yeah, like art is so personal to the artist as well. I don't know if everyday people know that, how connected we are with our art, our style. Our style is an amalgamation of all of our experiences
Hmm.
throughout our lives to be able to come up with that. And that's why so much of the best styles of art, when you meet the artist, you get it. You get it even more. Why does that person do this and this and this? It's our DNA. It's our spirit, right? And if you take that spirit, you take that DNA, and you mix it with a monkey or something, and you go, well, it's not you. That still hurts a lot. And again, it's like I love the fact that you've said that this is unethical. You know, it's not ethical to do this because currently there are laws are new at best, fuzzy. You know, a lot of
Being
things need
developed
to be
though.
done.
They're
What's
being
that?
developed in real time. The laws are being developed in real time though, and I will say like people are making um, their opinions known based on what they think is right and wrong. Like I forgot the name, but there was an AI comic that came out recently. You know, all the art was generated by AI, and it passed the copyright laws for a bit. But then recently, all those copyright laws were reversed because the people who were making the laws realized that there was less than 30% of human interaction or human touch on this product, right? And if it's less than, I think, 30%, it doesn't qualify for copyright. So, I mean, there are laws in place that are still working today, even though technology is so new, because there are certain rules that are put in place.
Now, we also want to give people the info of hope as well, right? And like that that example, we talked a bit. You know, you told me a lot about what's been going on and the good things that are happening. Is there anything that you could share in this interview?
Sure. I can't get into specifics, but I can say that, you know, a lot of artists that are in positions of hiring and stuff, we are looking for real artists who can draw, who can take art direction, can make specific notes, and can improvise and go on the fly, right? We need someone who understands, you know, our IP, understands what they can bring, you know, what they can specifically bring that's unique to them, to our projects. And you know, a lot of us are not looking to hire AI prompt artists because these are simply ideas that any one of us could also type in ourselves, right? Like we are artists, and if we needed to prompt, we could prompt very easily. That being said, a lot of companies are still very iffy on monetizing anything with copyrighted images. You know, a lot of these prompt prompt users are people who are generating fantastic images based off of copyrighted materials, right? They could be drawing from Black Panther, you know, Batman, Superman, like all these images that are out released from feature films being made into something that feels like it but looks different. However, the sources are still being used for monetization, right? And that is something that a lot of companies don't want to touch right now because we don't know where things are headed, and we don't want to have potential monetary liabilities in the future.
Now, we met before a while
Yeah.
back, you know, a bunch of years ago. Uh, you popped back on my radar in a big, big way. I'm assuming like you've never kind of fought for, you know, certain rights and things like that before. Uh, Maybe you did. You could let me know. But what prompted you to really, you know, take a stand and be proactive?
Sure. Well, actually, I can say that I have been an advocate for other causes before.
Okay, I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good. This one is just it just took off, you know, and I think that's what people know me for. But I've been an advocate for Black lives. I've been an advocate for Asian rights, and I I have called out previous employers for mistreatment of employees before. Um, you know, very well knowing that I could lose my job. So this isn't the first time I've done something like this. I just, I don't like bullies. I don't like people being mistreated. I don't like seeing my friends hurt. And to me, the thing that hit me the hardest was just seeing the way Kim Jong-il was treated. Like, you know, I didn't know Kim Jong-il personally, but, you know, obviously we all know him and revere him. And he is the ambassador. He's the art ambassador, you know, for all of us. And, you know, when he passed, I think it really hit the community hard, and we were all grieving over his loss. And the very next day, you know, someone who was not part of the art community decided to feed his art into a model and generate all kinds of really disrespectful generatives of his work. And, you know, close friends of Kim Jong-il and all his fans asked this person to stop, and they kept going, despite our objections and our disgust. And that wasn't the end of it. You know, they're seeing artists like Sam Yang having his art being fed into models against his will. You know, he even asked them politely to stop, and they just kept making more models and more models and cyberbullying him. And then, you know, recently an email floated around of these guys emailing Sam directly and basically
Multiple,
saying,
no?
yeah, multiple emails going to him saying, "Hey, Sam, how would you like to be the judge of our Sam off, where we, you know, we compete with our own Sam models against each other to see who's the best, who does the Sam art style the best, right?" And then there's, you know, Greg Rukowski, who in my tweet I said his art was scraped 93,000 times against his wishes, but now it's closer to 250 or 300,000 times, you know. And with the last AI generator Kickstarter called Unstable Diffusion, they said they wanted to bring Greg Rukowski's name back in into the prompting, and that to me just feels extremely vindictive. It doesn't feel like it's in the spirit of art. It doesn't feel like it's in the spirit of community. It just feels like it's very aggressive. And
Well, that's kind of like the 4chan of AI generators, that Kickstarter project, right? Like completely uncensored, talking about pornography, creating
yes,
AI
yeah,
pornography, deep fake.
like all kinds of weird stuff, right? And the fact that they brought in Greg's name specific, like I think they erased it now, but in the first drafts of the Kickstarter, they published his name in there, specifically targeting him, saying they want to bring him back in, and that to me just it just feels more of the cyberbullying than that they've been doing. You know, recently Kickstarter took a stand, I think yesterday, and they basically said that they were suspending that project because they understood that it harmed the community. And you know, more companies like 3D Total, they're coming out to stand for us because I think they
Oh, saying
believe.
no AI art in their
Mhm.
magazines.
Yeah, yeah. 3D Total came out, and then IDW Comics and Boom Studios, they're another comic company. They came out and condemned AI art because they understood how it was hurting the artist community, and how these things wouldn't exist without the artist data being inputted to begin with, right? That's the only reason why we got so far, is because everyone's art was being taken without consent, against their wishes to develop this thing.
If those ingredients weren't in this machine, it wouldn't be able to do that, and none of these artists get compensated. Right? And
Exactly.
that's a really horrible kind of a situation, horrible idea, very unethical.
It's also like I wouldn't generalize and say everybody's like this, but you know, there's been a lot of instances where we've seen communications in these, you know, AI art communities, where a lot of these users are excited to displace artists, and they're excited to put us out of business and everything, and they're excited to take over and create the new art revolution. But they just always forget to mention that, hey, we still need Art Germ, we still need, you know, Bobby Chew to feed the machine so that we can make our products and sell them, right? They both hate us and need us, which is strange.
Is there anything that you could talk about and tell us about, like, the things that you are actively doing to, get the awareness out, to make a stand?
Sure. I'm not part of the Concept Art Association, but I am helping Carla and the CAA basically spread the word on the GoFundMe that's out right now, basically raising funds to help pay for a lobbyist to argue for artist rights in DC. Because you know, I would love to go down there as a Canadian, just, you know, argue my face off, but like I can't do that full time. So that's happening right now. I also started a hashtag with my fiance Jen called hashtag Create Don't Scrape, where basically, you know, it's a safe space where we can share art, we can support each other, and there's also a shirt that you can get, and all 95% of the proceeds go to a nonprofit called Free Arts New York City.
There's so many things about social media that a lot of us don't like, but one of the coolest things about social media is that now we can all gather our voices. Now we could all gather our resources and kind of like say a message, do a thing where it'll get noticed because we've gathered.
Hmm.
I'm going to put links to everything that you want the people to know, and want to support the cause and everything. I'll
Yeah.
put them there. Please support. I'm going to do my own supporting. I'm going to be donating as well to these various things. Whatever you can do, it helps, because we all get together. When we all get together, we become one giant Voltron, and people can't ignore us, right?
I also want to add that like a week or two ago when all this stuff blew up about Lensa and whatnot, a lot of people who weren't artists, like yoga instructors, fitness influencers, and even MIT engineers, who all had like massive followings on Instagram, like almost 1 million followers. They once they got some information about where the data was coming from, how it was collected, and then how it was unethically monetized, they all understood right away. And a lot of these guys even had Lensa selfies that they had done first, right? And then afterwards, when they learned more, they edited their information about it and said, "Oh, guys, by the way, I'm just letting you know I'm keeping this up to spread awareness, but this is what happened, this is where it's from, and this is why it's wrong." So, I think a lot of us artists, we were really introverted, and we don't know if people really know that we exist, or people care about us, but people do care. They just don't know what's happening, and once they do know, they understand, they empathize.
Absolutely. Something that people should know is that, especially if you're an artist, you want to be an artist, that kind of thing, supporting this cause supports you, right? It
Yeah.
supports your future and everything. Having people like you, Nicole and Rachel from Concept Art Association, Carlo Ortiz, these these wonderful people that stand up for what they believe in, is what makes me be able to sleep at night. I feel like with you guys around and similar people all over the planet, the situation couldn't possibly stay the same. So for the younger generation out there that are learning and they want to be an artist and they love doing art, that they can keep doing the art. They could keep learning, because it won't be long before something has to change.
Oh, sorry. Actually, I just remembered what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that art has always been free to join in. Like art has always been something welcoming, and if anybody who is a AI prompter or AI art user actually wants to learn how to do this, we are more than welcome to teach them. If they want to come and join the community and be respectful and learn something and grow, we're always here for them, right? What we don't ask is that they don't take people's art and you use it against them, or you monetize things and threaten their livelihoods. Like I will never be cool with that. But if anybody wants to quiet their minds and learn from the masters and improve as a person, we're always down for that. Because like a lot of us, when we're starting off, we realized that somebody was up here, we were down there, and we realized that there's a whole bunch of things we need to do to get to that level. And it wasn't just art. It was about learning how to recognize someone has more knowledge or skill than you, being humble, learning about yourself to improve, and just like being able to get through the hard times, the dark times, yeah, and then persevere over that. And I think a lot of us that have gotten some success with art, we realize that in our journey, we didn't not only did we become better artists, we just became better people.
I've seen some arguments, where it's like, well, I don't have that kind of time. Uh, these skills are being protected by gatekeepers or something like that.
Mm.
You you probably know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
I
of
don't really
course,
know what I'm talking about. Do you know what they're arguing about there?
of course. I've been called a gatekeeper as well. Basically, they are saying that we are holding our skills to ourselves, and that art should be democratized. That's a famous word they use, and it should be available for everyone to enjoy for free, right? And my point is that art has always been democratized. It was always available for everyone. You get what you put in, right? To me, like theft should not be democratized. That's a completely different conversation.
AI artists, AI prompters, whatever you want to call them, they are people too. They are our brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, parents, whatever, children, whatever. Now, we want to be able to live in peace with everybody, So I would love to ask you, how can this work if AI existed and everything's working well? What would that look like to you?
Me, that would look like AI artists or AI prompters using images that were public domain and royalty free to train off of. Because there are a lot of fantastic artists that are royalty free and public domain that you can train, like Rembrandt, Van Gogh, like any artist that's been deceased for 70 plus years, they are free game, and there are royalty free stock images that you can also use to train. So like there's no excuse. You can use a lot of things ethically. You can still train. You can still make your beautiful images quickly using royalty-free images. But as soon as you start using images from artists that are still living and require relying on their artist identity, aka style, to make a living, that is highly unethical and is going to start rubbing lawmakers the wrong way. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Carlo Ortiz and Steve Zapata because they had been, leading this movement and fighting the good fight before I was even ready to do anything about it. And they are working tirelessly behind the scenes, and I am just here to give them a little bit of an assist. And I think if we all do our part, we can, help Carlo and Steve out, spread the message.
Thank you so much, John. This has been very enlightening, and actually, it's a ray of hope, to be honest. Like hearing everything that's going on and everything that you're doing, everything that other people are doing and other companies are doing to make a stand for what they believe is ethical. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.